Hey guys, it's Valentine's Day 2023. Welcome back to the Grok Orloff Show, episode 670 something. Gonna look at some comics today, ladies and gentlemen, from the Bronze Age. So, let's go upstairs. I don't have much time, so let's get this show on the road. Okay, so when we left off, we were looking at The Invaders, which is a great comic about the Marvel heroes during World War II. And all right, perfect. Okay, where were we? Yeah, we were looking at Invaders 32. So this is 1978, I think it says. Issue 33. Oh, wow, I have another copy of issue 33. Okay. 34. Wow, this stuff is so great. The author of this issue is Don Glut, who he's a big time comic fan. Invaders 35. This issue's worth $30,000 because there's an ad for Milk Duds with Dr. Doom in it. So I better get this slabbed, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, so that's 34, 35. I'm missing 36 and 37. Here's 38. And there's another 38. You know, I've got these issues where I have multiple copies, and then I have missing issues. So, not good. Here's issue 41, which, I don't know, is this the last issue? It's the last issue I've got, so it's possible it could be the last issue. Look at this great stuff. Okay, so, The Invaders Annual number 1. And here's another Invaders Annual number 1. See the artwork. Some people. Yeah, I mean wow. It really does have a golden age feel to the art. Frank Robbins, Frank Springer, Lee Elias. Some people take a little while to get used to the art, but it really does have a great golden age feel. And then from the world of today, and this is actually okay, it has a new story in it, Giant Size Invaders. A new story written by Roy Thomas, but it looks all computery colored, you know. But it does have a reprint of Invaders number 2, and then towards the back, a reprint from All Winners from the Golden Age. So this is a good book to seek out. This looks like it probably came out unless you're four. No, it's whenever Aeon Flux came out. And that was a while back. They brought the Invaders back. This looks probably 90s. Yeah, this is the 1990s Invaders. It's a 4-issue miniseries, and yep. How about that? Do I have the full 4-issue miniseries? There's another copy of issue 1. See, I don't have issue 2, but I have 2 copies of issue 3, and then a copy of issue 4, so I need issue 2. And then another attempt to bring it back. It's now called All New Invaders. And then another attempt to bring it back. Actually, I get this from the $2 bin. I can't tell the difference between a comic that came out 20 years ago and one that came out today. This is very recent because there's an ad for Captain Marvel. And I think that was right before the pandemic. Yeah, so I have to, because my eyes getting too bad to read the dates. At least I don't have my reading glasses on. I can tell by they're marketing a Captain Marvel watch that this is just the last few years. So why am I showing these books? I have no idea, because I always talk about, there's a Modern Submariner. Horrible. Okay, so here's Iron Fist number 1. I don't know. Does it have any value? It's not the first appearance of Iron Fist. I wasn't that into the Kung Fu comics during the 70s when they were popular. I got into them later. So yeah. Anyway, Iron Fist number 10. That looks like the extent of my Iron Fist comics. Okay, now this is Bronze Age only. Silver Age is in the other room, so this is my first Bronze Age Iron Man. At least I count the Bronze Age again, in my opinion, and I may be completely alone among people, but I consider the Bronze Age to begin when Marvel and DC went to 20-cent prices. So I started the Bronze Age a little later than the average moron. And I have 2 copies of that issue. It has a wonderful cover. These 20-cent covers, I keep saying, are these 20-cent comics are beautiful. They have these window boxes or picture frames. I've heard people say it either way. I've said it both ways, but I like that. Here's 48. I love that little brother fist on his chest, power to the people kind of thing. This is 48. Here's another 48 that has some damage or something right around that fist symbol. Here's 49. Wow. I just have to just take this in, the beauty of this cover. It's not a high-grade copy. I'll tell you when I get to the very first Iron Man comic I ever bought, and it's much later. These are ones that I bought later. Here's 50. 51. And you think, well, he must have a complete run. But no, see, I go from 51 to 60. And that's not good. I wish I had the other ones. This one was well loved. You can tell some kid that didn't know how to read to handle a comic enjoyed this comic. 60. 61. Iron Man wasn't one of the big Marvel heroes. It's ironic that all these people that know the Marvel heroes only from the movies think Iron Man is like the big guy, that he's the one that started it all. Well, in the movies he did, but he was always a second tier character, not one of the hugest sellers. The Spider-Man and Fantastic Four were the big ones to me. In the movies, Spider-Man just is like learning everything from Iron Man. It was kind of weird. Okay, 62. Then I'm missing 63 and 64. Here's 65, still in the 20-cent era. I have more of these than I realized. Here's 66. Okay. All right. This is the first one I ever bought. Number 67. I remember buying this, and yeah. It's a 20-cent era. I kind of remember it being later, but that's the first one I bought. Number 67. Then I don't have 68 and 69. By 70, the price had gone up to 25 cents. Okay. 70. Wow. 71 has this great cover. That's really one of the great covers. I don't hear people talk about this one as much. I don't see people showing it off, but it sure is great. 71. 72. This was just a great time period for comics. And maybe because I was, third, fourth grader. But no, it really was a great time period. I just happened to luck out and be born at that time. But I really would have been luckier if I had, been born a few years earlier and was able to be buying the Silver Age comics off the rack, and then enjoyed these comics, in my college years or in my 20s. That would have been perfect, because I would have been a kid for the really amazing stuff. And this is great too, though. It just nothing compares to the 1960s era stuff. 77. Okay. 78. Vengeance in Vietnam. 79. Well, have they shot down any UFOs today, or have any trains derailed, or what's going to be next to distract us from, it's so obvious, once you aren't woke, that's a different kind of thing. Once you're awakened to what's going on, it's so obvious, it's like you're watching The Magician, and they have this misdirection. They want your eyes to be here while they're doing something here, and all the normal people are looking here, but I can see what they're doing and how they're manipulating everything, and it's all pretty pathetic. Here's 82, still in the 25-cent era. These ones here, I know I bought off the rack. These, I think I remember buying these in Tacoma, Washington. Are they the right time period? Dang. 75. What does that say? 76. Where are my reading glasses? Hang on a second. I don't know what that says. Okay. I remember. This must be late 1975. It has to be. Let's see if there are any other clues. Look at these great. Oh, man, it's just so great. Okay, 85. 86. Yeah, if I promote this episode as an Iron Man episode, I'm sure I'll get a lot of views. I'm trying to get up to 500 subscriptions. I don't know why, but it just sounds good. Then I've got to double that before I could ever possibly make money from YouTube. Yeah, indeed. 87. Here's number 88. So then I go 88 all the way up to 96. So I'm missing a few issues, it would seem. Oh, what is that? What is that? Oh, this ad is cool for these science fiction books. Okay, 96, 99. And another 99 that's not bagged and boarded. Oh, we're up to 1977 now. Comics are 30 cents. Star Wars is coming out, all that. Wow. Pretty cool. Sorry, I'm just looking through a comic. It's not very good content when someone's just flipping through a comic and not showing you. Yeah, this is when Tarzan and John Carter were licensed by Marvel, and they started putting those comics out right about this time. 99, and then we come to the big issue 100 of Iron Man. And then 101 has the Monster of Frankenstein. If your last episode you saw Frankenstein appear in The Invaders. He didn't have his own comic at this point. It was the first Godzilla. He was just making guest appearances in other people's comics. Monster of Frankenstein. And another copy of 101. Then I go to 105. Then I skip to 110. This, of course, I don't have full runs a lot of times because, at that age I was making money to buy comics. I would mow my parents' lawn. I would wash and wax the cars. And I was paid well for doing those chores. And that would be money that I would use. I might have gotten an allowance, I don't know. But I had to budget my money. And there was a lot of great stuff coming out then, so I guess Iron Man wasn't something I bought every month. I don't know. There's 113, 114. I have to make excuses why I don't have complete runs because everybody else seems to have everything. But, well. And then the reason these were bagged, everything was bagged until I don't know, 15 years ago. And then I realized, these bags are turning like hideously horrible, and I took the bags off, and then I'm gradually rebagging things, but very gradually. Here's 116. $117. my wife's going in to take an allergy test here at 4 o'clock. So while she's showering, I'm doing a quick episode, and then I'll take her up there, and what they do is they hook stuff all up and down your arms, and each one of these little prongs has got some kind of thing that a lot of people are allergic to. And last time the test just didn't work. It was like a dud. So she's going back in and seeing if it'll work this time so they can find out what she's allergic to. I know she's allergic to pecan trees, and where we used to live in Texas was an old pecan orchard before they put houses there, so it still has pecan trees kind of in rows with the houses, built around them and in between them, and so that was probably part of her problems there. There aren't pecan trees here, but who knows what she's allergic to here in Alaska. So we moved about a year ago up here to the jungles of Alaska. And this is a really cool cover that is reminiscent of the first appearance of Iron Man. 126, 127. We're about to be done with this long box. Another copy of 127. Oh, this is the big one. 128, where he has to deal with his alcoholism. I think this is one that's sought after by people. 129. And then 137, 138, oh, wait a second. I have some books I need to put in here. Okay. All right. First of all, this Inferior 5, most of the Inferior 5 was a Silver Age comic, but this is one that came out in the Bronze Age. This needs to be put in here. So that would go before Iron Man. In front of Infinity Incorporated. We were looking at Infinity Incorporated in the last episode. At least some of you were. Some of you may not have gotten past the concert. And if you just stopped because you saw I was saying at the beginning, you missed a lot of comics at the end. And then there's this Invisible Woman comic. Let's get this. It'll be after Invaders. After Invaders, before Iron Fist. Then I have this Iron Man 130, which is in really bad condition, I got from a quarter box or something. Iron Man 130 would go here. Well, what is that? And then Iron Man 46. This is a real bad condition. The gloss is gone. The back cover. The story is all there. There's Arnold Schwarzenegger. So it's readable. It just feels kind of yucky. This is a Iron Man 46. Okay. So, that's now my first Bronze Age Iron Man. And, okay. boxes, man. Never buy long boxes, only buy short boxes because you'll hate it when you get older. If there's any young people watching this, which is highly doubtful. Oh, wow. Next box. Iron Man 158. I'm going to put some of these Iron Mans into that last box. Iron Man 159. Iron Man 160. Iron Man 161. Guest appearance by the Moon Knight. That's something that used to matter before the Moon Knight TV series started, everyone. I don't know if people still care about Moon Knight because most people don't read comics. They just watch the movies and TV shows. And if the movies and TV shows are disappointing, there's another copy of that. Then the comics go down in value. 190. Because people are stupid. 192. But, yeah, don't buy comics just because you're speculating that the TV show is going to be a big hit, because it probably won't be. Here's 236. This is getting towards the end of my Iron Man collection, 271. You see, I didn't go much beyond that. I have some annuals. Okay, what is this? Why do I own it? This is the Invincible Iron Man number 8. This is some brand new comic. Somehow fell into my collection. Okay, giant size Iron Man number 1. Here's another copy of it. Look at that. Well, I can open it up and show you. It's reprints from the 60s. So it's from Tales of Suspense 49. And so this is going to have several issues worth of Tales of Suspense Iron Man stories in it. Then we go to the Mighty Isis number 2, who started as a TV series from Filmation. Isis 7. Okay, and why is this here? Okay, I must have filed this under J for James Bond, this adaptation of For Your Eyes Only. Okay. No, group. No. Okay. So, incredible. No, don't fuck with that, man. It's the dog. John Carter, Warlord of Mars, number 1. This came out right about the time that Star Wars came out. And, of course, John Carter is one of the main inspirations for Star Wars. And you could say, well, no, I think Flash Gordon, but Flash Gordon was inspired by John Carter. So anytime you've got rocket pistols and swords together, I'm trying to get the dog, stop. 3, whenever it's John Carter, and John Carter even inspired Superman, and that he was from another planet that gave him extra strength and the ability to jump really far. Originally, Superman could only jump really far. He didn't originally fly. Here's 5. I really enjoyed this comic. 6. There's to a certain extent, John Carter is public domain because the stories are from like it's the first one from 1911, something like that. It was a serial in All Story magazine, and called Under the Moons of Mars, and that later was turned into the book The Princess of Mars. And these anyway, so there's official John Carter comics, and then there's ones that are just called Warlord of Mars, or I don't know. And then there's this comic company that puts out these Dejah Thoris comics that are just like titty ass comics, and because in the stories, the John Carter and Dejah Thoris, the princess, were described as basically being naked, and so you can take that literally, or you could think, well, the Native Americans. Oh, Drew, no, Drew, no. God damn. Just a moment, guys. Drew, no, don't. Come here, Drew. Come here, Drew. Drew, come here. Come here, Drew. Anyway, these morons buy these Dejah Thoris comics just because the covers are, she's naked or whatever. In the Victorian era, they would describe Native Americans, Indians, as like naked savages. And they weren't technically naked, but if you're just wearing like a basic loincloth or something, that's considered naked to someone that's Victorian, right? So that's, I think, really what Edgar Rice Burroughs was, because they did wear armor, and this is kind of more what Edgar Rice Burroughs was meaning when he was describing them as naked. Okay, so that's a great cover. But, if you're just buying these because of the covers, because they've got a girl without much clothing, then you're just a moron. You need to be reading this stuff. But a lot of this wound up in Star Wars. I mean, the whole thing with the princess that has to be rescued, and the Jedaks and Jeds, and the Sith was a giant Martian mosquito, I remember, and a Banth was a Martian lion. Of course, in the Star Wars movie, a Bantha was a giant elephant-type mammoth thing that lived on Tatooine. 16. Yeah, this was a fun comic. I don't think it's very hard to collect this. These are all books I bought when I was 12, but I think you can buy these somewhat cheap. or you can get reprinted editions of them. Then you won't have the cool ads in them. But I don't know what to tell you. Yeah, Marvel got before Marvel, DC was doing John Carter stories, but he didn't have his own title. DC had the rights to Tarzan and all the other Edgar Rice Burroughs creations, and then Marvel got the rights, and then I assume the titles weren't selling well enough, and they stopped publishing them. But they were wonderful while they lasted, and it's 22. So I'll show them all because I like them. There was a John Carter movie that Disney put out, and it wasn't successful because they didn't market it right. They also tried to cram too much in from the first 3 books, and they made it with the thought that there will be sequels, and of course there weren't, and I don't know. I could have... it was not a bad movie. Was it perfect? No. And there probably won't be a movie now that Disney failed. Someone else isn't going to try it, and I wouldn't think. So this John Carter character was really popular in the early part of the 20th century. But Tarzan, also known as Tarzan, you can pronounce it either way. He's remembered because there were tons of movies, because it's a lot easier and cheaper to film a jungle movie than one set on Mars, where you've got characters that are 15 feet tall, and just about all the animals have 8 legs. It's a little hard to do. Unless you got Ray Harryhausen on board, and that would have been amazing if Ray Harryhausen had been around. That's the first annual. Second annual. Looks like we're getting into some more fun comics now. And of course, the next one, I bought this like in 4th grade, I think, is The Joker, #1. This one is pretty sought after. The Joker 2. Joker 3. Yeah, this didn't last long. But I was buying it. I may have been one of the only people buying it. #4. Looks like I missed issue 5. Here's issue 6. I missed 7 and 8. Here's a Catwoman issue. Okay, all right, we moved to Jonah Hex. Jonah Hex #1. Jonah Hex was well, he started in Weird Western Tales, so this isn't his first appearance. But this was a brutal, violent comic that really had the feel of a spaghetti Western. It was not a typical Western. He was this very mysterious character that had a mutilated face with a flap of skin that came down and it was melted, into the bottom part of his lip, and that looked like it was done by some horrible burn. He went around in a Civil War outfit after the war was a uniform. After the war was over, he was a bounty hunter. He would bring in the dead bodies of bad guys, dragging them behind his horse face down to get the reward. But anyway, he just had a horrible face on one side, and it was very mysterious. They never originally told why his face was messed up or why he's still wearing the Civil War uniform, the Southern uniform, after they lost the war. Later, they decide to go back and tell the backstory of how he received the facial injury, and it was from Native Americans torturing him, and I didn't think that was wise. I thought it would have been better to leave it mysterious, like I also disagreed in going back and doing the prequels of Star Wars and explaining why Darth Vader was mutilated and injured. I didn't like that. We're up to issue 7. I have 2 copies of issue 7. Number 8. Oh, here we go. I guess they did it pretty early on, but he'd been in Weird Western Tales for several years. This is where they explain how his face was messed up. Oh, and look at that. I always loved this cover. Bernie Wrightson in 1977, issue number 9. These covers where the heroes tied in the desert with ants coming at them and stuff. There are several of Batman that tied up. You could probably, if you had a comic book wall, have people tied up in the desert on one tier, and another one with crucifixion covers, just horrible torture covers, depending on what kind of person you are. Anyway, I have 2 copies of that. How about that? Okay, issue 10. Now, this is a comic I really should have a pretty close to complete run, at least of the early years, because I read it every month. This was something, this is issue 10. I have 2 10s. That one is one I must have found in a dollar bin. This one would have been the one I bought off the rack because it's in better shape, and I treated my comics well. Okay, Jonah Hex 11. Okay, the next book I'm needing to put in is something I got from the 50-cent bin. I've got some of these Jack of Fables where I bought them just because of the girl on the cover. I hate to admit it. But I thought, well, maybe this is good, maybe I'll give it a shot. But really, I was getting it because the girl on the cover, let's face it. 13. Showing you all of these may not be the best use of time. 14. Yeah, maybe I'll just show you the good covers. I mean, they're all good covers. 18, 19, 20. But I've got things to do, man. Got things to do. Okay, yeah, this would have taken forever. Here we're up to number 48 in the 50-cent era. They changed to this logo. I didn't like that logo as much. We're at 72 now, flipping through. There's another good. Here's one that could be put with that Iron Man demon in a bottle, guys facing alcoholism. This cover I always thought was a little interesting. You got Jonah Hex coming in the room, and there's obviously a saloon girl. I mean, it's obviously a prostitute. It's obviously a whorehouse. And it's on the front cover. I've got 2 copies of it. Will this woman be the death of Jonah Hex? Code approved. It's just kind of bizarre to have that on the cover of a children's comic. And you say, well, these weren't meant for children. And again, I would say you're an idiot because these are meant for children. Here's issue 90. Here's this. I bought this in a dollar bin. This white cover is turning a little bit. It's not as white as it once was. This cover of him kissing this cowgirl. There's some other covers that are kind of similar to this. There's one of Superman kissing like a jungle girl. I mean, you could probably have a shelf on your wall of comics of guys kissing girls like this. Okay. Gut-wrenching final issue. I've got, it really was This is issue 92. I have 2 copies of it. But this Jonah Hex Spectacular is really worth getting. It's got other Western heroes in it, but it has the story of Jonah Hex's last days, where he marries an Indian woman. I mean, it even shows, you know, him being embalmed. I'm giving away the story, but spoiler alert, fast forward 1 minute if you don't want. And he's stuffed and put, you know, in a traveling exhibit, like they did with gunfighters back then. They really would do that. They would tour their bodies around. But then, you know, you think, well, you know he's dead because he's a character in the 1800s, so did I really spoil it for you? There's a spinoff from Jonah Hex that's really cool. Actually, they brought Jonah Hex back later in the modern, I don't know what you call the era of comics now. I picked up a few issues thinking maybe they'd be interesting. This one is, again, something I bought just for the girls on the cover. It's a nicely drawn cover. You really need Michael Fleischer to be writing Jonah Hex. He was the guy that was able to really write these great stories. And but anyway, these are new Jonah Hex comics, and they brought the series back. And honestly, I haven't read these new ones yet. I picked them up from dollar bins, and maybe they'll be good. I don't know. We'll find out at some point. Okay, and then this looks like, from Vertigo. This is the DC's. Vertigo is their line of adult comics. This is, maybe this is, I don't know. It's pretty gruesome stuff inside. I don't really like that artwork. Yeah, Jonah Hex is drawn. I don't like the way they draw him here. So I guess I bought these just hoping maybe this is good. But anyway, after Jonah Hex was canceled, they brought him back with the same writer, Michael Fleischer. And now he's just called Hex, and he's in the future. Or is it another planet? I think it's another planet. Yeah. It's just a completely Mad Max world, and he gets transported, and it's like suddenly a science fiction comic with this character. Here's issue 2. Issue 3. I mean, these are things you can buy pretty cheaply. I mean, you don't need to see all these covers. Here's the origin of Stelletta. So it's a very different comic than it was before. It's still the same writer. And let's see, how long did this thing go? 13, 15, 16, 17. It went to issue 18, the last Hex story. Okay. So I have Johnny Thunder, also known as Thunderbolt, issue 3. All right. Jungle Action, number 2, from the wonderful 20-cent era. Look at this wonderful ad for the Vampire Bat. Jungle Action number 3. Yeesh. Jungle Action number 4. I found this in a dollar bin, and this is in terrible shape. This has had those silverfish little bugs eating on it. So this is probably stored in some shed somewhere, a garage. So these are like reprints of 1950s jungle stories, but then at a certain point they start new stories of Black Panthers, so these are going to be more sought after by, at least they were until that last Black Panther movie. I don't know if anyone cares about him anymore, but this is Jungle Action number 9 with Black Panther. I don't have all of these. Then it goes to Jungle Action 19. This one is clearly, if you look at this side here, has been through a fire somewhere. So, oh, here's another crucifixion cover. We were just talking about those. Okay, Jungle Action. Oh, the Jack of Fables comic, number 9, I can put that in now. And this Star Trek influenced Jack of Fables 43, I can get that in there. They would go before Jonah Hex, before Joker, before John Carter, after ISIS. Okay. James Bond. Jack is before James Bond. All right. Now, the next book I have to put in is a Justice League of America comic. So, Justice League should be coming up soon. We're finishing with Jungle Action. Yes, after this, the only issue of Justice Incorporated I have, which is Kenneth Robeson, creator of Doc Savage. I only have this one issue. I remember buying it in San Antonio. Okay, so now we're moving into Bronze Age Justice League of America. Number 83, wonderful cover. You've got the floating heads on the sides. You've got a ghost, a horror. Well, it's the specter, but you've got them, it's like a seance kind of thing. Because even on the superhero comics, they started to look like horror comics around this time period of around, I'm going to put this in the other room, because I consider 15-cent comics to be Silver Age, so I'm going to consider this Silver Age. Anyway, the very end of the Silver Age, the beginning of the Bronze Age, the Comics Code of Authority relaxed their standards and allowed more horror elements in comics without them balking, and so everybody rushed to get as much of that in the comics as they could. Here's Justice League 107. Yeah. 108, not in very good shape, but a really cool story. I remember buying this when I was a kid, not in very good shape. 110, I always loved the Dead Santa Claus cover. This was a big giant comic. I bought this like in 3rd grade. It has Golden Age reprints in the back, and yeah, this really puts a smile on my face. That's issue 110 of Justice League. I could stand an upgrade, but I'd never get rid of that issue, which is my childhood copy. This is actually not part of the Justice League run. This is separate. They also had a 100-page spectacular. It's run. It's confusing, but I have it here for some reason. Okay, this is 114. I really need to get more of these from this time period. Okay, because I'm missing 115. That would be something I ought to get. Here's 116. This is the first one I remember buying as a little kid, 117. I remember buying this in San Antonio. 25 cents, probably 4th grade. 118. And 119. I wonder how many kids saw this one on the rack and didn't buy it because they thought, oh, I already have that issue, because the one before it is so similar. The covers are very similar, and both very Star Trek influenced. Kind of looks like the bridge. And of course, Star Trek was huge at that point in the 1970s because it had just hit syndication all over the country about 4 or 5 years after the cancellation. This is another one I bought as a kid, 120. 121, a marriage issue. I bought that one later. This one is a childhood copy, 122. The one I'm about to put in is 136, so I'm going to watch for that. 124. Every summer, in that time period, in the 60s and into the 70s, until the early 80s, there would be a team up between the Justice League of America and Justice Society. They were on separate alternate Earths, 128. And that was something to look forward to every summer. And then Crisis on Infinite Earths ruined that, and there was no longer any thing to look forward to in the summer. Okay, did I show you this one just now? It's the same one, right? No. 129. Okay, this is the next one. 132, DC Comics Salutes the Bicentennial. That looks like an Ernie Chan cover if I've ever seen one. Yes, Ernie Chua, 1975. Okay, another one, Ernie Chua, 1976. 134. His name later became Ernie Chan. Oh, these floating head covers, man. 135. So you've got the Justice Society and the Squadron of Justice from Quality Comics with Captain Marvel. You've got the heroes of 3 different Earths teaming up. I remember this. This is I think maybe summer of '76, somewhere around there. Oh, and this one looks like this is a throwback to like 1969, 1970 with this Neil Adams cover, 138. It looks like you're looking at a comic from that time period. Wow. 139. Oh, and then this one I need to put in 136. Let's get that in there. 134, 135 fits in perfectly. Good. 139. And then I'm missing 140, 141, and 142. There's 143. $144. Oh, cool. See another, it's summertime again, 147. Another team up between the Justice Society and Justice League. When they had all the little heads, that's a good indication that it's the team up and they're showing you all the heroes you get in one book. Although, that isn't always the case. I have 2 copies of that one. Cool. 148. Usually it would be over a span of 2 or 3 issues that crisis would they would have to solve. There'd be some different crisis. 157. Oh yeah, I remember this. 159. This has got Jonah Hex appearing in an enemy ace, and what else did you get there? Enemy ace, Black Pirate, late Miss Liberty, Viking Prince. 160. Whoa, look at this. Oh, this has got a tear at the top. It's got a tear at the top that goes all the way through the book, which is a shame. This is this is a Whitman variant. See? Black Lightning's saying, "We want you on the team, Black Lightning," says Superman, and he says, "With that jive bunch of turkeys and the JLA, forget it," says Black Lightning. I think there's a TV series of Black Lightning. I've never seen it. Some people like it. 161. I don't think he wears that particular outfit in it. You know, if a TV show starts and they're wearing a comic accurate costume, I would be right there in front of the TV. But if it doesn't look anything like the comic book, if the average person watching the show has no idea that it's based on a comic book, I'm not really interested in it. Oh, look, I have another copy of that issue that's not a Whitman, that isn't torn at the top, that's in good shape. That's cool. But shouldn't it be next to the other one? Are these even in order? 160. Oh, that's because I didn't know what the number was on this one, because I just put it in randomly, because the Whitman doesn't put the number on the front. And then here's several Whitmans. And you see there's no way to tell the number without opening it up. The Whitmans were put into packs. You'd get a pack of 3 comics, and they wouldn't say DC, it would say Whitman. And it would be a plastic bag, and it would say 3 comics for 79 cents, bargain. And one would be facing one way, one the other, and there'd be one in the middle that you could barely kind of see. And that was done a lot in the 70s and the 60s. And they would be sold in toy stores or places where comics aren't necessarily always sold. And in the old Overstreet price guides in the late 70s, they said those comics were basically worthless because they were reprints. And a lot of people just thought they were junk and threw them out. Then it turned out, no, they weren't reprints. The Overstreet guide was wrong. They were part of the original press run. It just at a certain point, they took the little element off the art that said DC and slapped the Whitman thing over it. So they're all first prints. And then people started prizing them as more rare than the typical 181. And so anyway, sometimes you never can tell what's going to happen in the collecting field. 186. Okay, do we really want to go through all these? 189. Oh, this is pretty good. All right. This, I don't know if you saw James Gunn's Suicide Squad. I thought that was a very good movie. 196. I need to watch that again sometime. 204. Another copy of 204. 205. I'll keep showing these till we get to a bad time period. Here's another team up issue. Okay, here's 212. Two copies of 212. Here's 213. These really need to be rebagged and boarded. 216. Oh, nice cover. $226, 231, 234, 242. I always kind of like this cover. And 244, and that may be the end of the Justice League. Justice League Annual 1. And then there's this modern comic, but made to look like an old 100-page giant. And then there's this, they did this, after the Crisis on Infinite Earths, they did a different Justice League, except it was just called Justice League, and it was a different lineup, and it was more of a humorous, funny comic. And I have the first issue of that, and I always just assumed it was kind of, I always hated that Green Lantern. I assumed that this was kind of not as good, and people that I trust have told me, no, that's a really good comic. But I never gave it a shot. Here's 31. It gets really confusing after this because there were so many different Justice Leagues and JLAs and Justice League Europe and Justice League International, and it just became very confusing, and I have no idea what's going on. Let's see. I don't know. There's 94 of Justice League of America, but it's not the Justice League of America I read as a kid. And then there's like Justice League of America 0. And there's Justice League Quarterly. And this must be part of the funny Justice League comics. They're done like sitcoms, and then you got Justice League Europe that looks like the same kind of Seinfeld kind of Justice League, and Justice League Quarterly, and I don't even know what that is. And so I just have things I picked up over the years in dollar bins or quarter bins. That's Justice League International. And then there's this one that's just called JLA. And you know, if they had just kept one comic going called Justice League of America and just kept the numbering going, they just made it so confusing that I didn't know what was going on. Oh, and then there's, of course, Justice League Dark, where I bought that because the cover I thought was cool. Look at that. And then there's this is actually more of a book that should be on a shelf. It's reprints of Zatanna stories. Yeah, I ought to actually just put that on a shelf in the other room. So, and then there was an Alex Ross comic called Justice. Now this is more my speed. And the interior art is also Alex Ross. So there was Justice 1, 2. This is the kind of stuff I like because it's based on the stuff I know. And I don't really know much about comics in the last 20 or 30 years. They haven't interested me. See, that's what Black Adam's supposed to look like. It looks nothing like what you saw in that movie. There's a free comic book day, Justice League of America. And then we have Justice Society of America. Okay. Now I'm going to right. I have some more stuff I need to put in. What is this? Justice League of America 52. I don't even know what this is. Like I was saying, I'll just put it in randomly. And then this is Justice number 5. I wonder what do I have? Just looking at the Justices. Do I have that one? I have Justice 3, and then it goes to 9, so I'll put 5 in between. Well, we have an hour and 10 minutes. We have potentially another 10, 11 minutes to go on this episode. Not that I time it out like that, it's just I know that's how much memory I can record with. So let me get the next box out of the other room. I hope you guys are having a great Valentine's Day and all that. Oh boy. When does the time change? In March? Anyway, I'm looking forward to Thursday. Maybe there'll be some snow. I've got to work on Thursday, but I don't have to drive very far. Okay, next box. Still Justice Society comics. I don't know if these are even worth looking at. Here's one of shows Stargirl there. And then there's America versus the Justice Society. These are things. And there's like JSA All Stars. There's some of those in here. Some of these covers are sort of interesting. Okay. And then Alex Ross did a lot of the covers, which made them appealing. Oh, we're getting into Commandy. Let me see if there's any other books I need to put in from over here. Oh, JLA, yeah. Yep. Okay. Okay, actually there are. This is hideous looking, this JLA comic. I hate that Superman look. The art's not very good. This is part of that stupid Superman is dead storyline that it was just a trick to... Sorry, I get real bitter when I think of the 1990s. Because these were the characters I love, and that was just a bunch of bullshit. Okay. These are books I need to get put in. So it's Justice Society. Yeah, that goes there. Here's that's again what Black Adam was supposed to look like. Nothing like The Rock. JSA. Okay. Now, next things I need to put in are Kamandi and Cobra and Kazar, also known as Kazar. Okay, so that's Kamandi number 37 I need to put in. So I don't have a complete run of Kamandi. I wish I did. I have Kamandi number 1. Kamandi number 4. I'm missing 2 and 3. Another copy of 4. Number 5. Number 6. Then I'm missing 7, 8, and 9, and 10. These were coming out when I was in 2nd grade, these first ones. I didn't have an unlimited amount of money, and I was trying to buy as many monster books as I could. This was a book I would occasionally get. 15. My interest in Planet of the Apes came along maybe a year later when those movies were first shown on CBS on television. I missed their original theatrical runs just because of when I was born. But when they showed them on CBS on the Friday night movie, I was there. They would show them, I think they showed Planet of the Apes, and then they showed Beneath about a month later or a few weeks later, and they showed them in order. And then that tipped off a huge wave among kids of, a huge demand for Planet of the Apes merchandise, much more so than when the movies originally came out. They were far more popular in the 70s than they were in the late 60s and early 70s when the movies came out. And same thing with Star Trek. Star Trek was more popular in the 70s than it ever was during its original network run. That's just something that you had to have been there to know. Because when Star Trek was on every afternoon when you came home from school, that's great. And when it was on a network, especially when it was on Friday nights, it was just not, it wasn't capturing. This is 32. This one's got kind of a fold in it. This is a giant that reprints the first issue and everything. It's really cool. I've got 2 copies of that. The one I'm trying to put in is 37, so that's coming up. I probably already have a copy in there. There's 33, 34. I mean, this is a comic very, very much, I mean, you can say it isn't, but very inspired by Planet of the Apes. 35. Now, Jack Kirby said he hadn't seen Planet of the Apes, but he knew what Planet of the Apes was about, and he'd read tons of pulps and science fiction books with similar themes. 36. Okay. Then 40. So this 37 here definitely does help, me complete the story. You thought I was going to say run, didn't you? I don't like to use that terminology like run, Kyushu. I don't. And there's my buddy Ernie Chua doing a cover. He came in, also known as Ernie Chan, one of my heroes. He made comics wonderful around this time period. I mean, look at the art. It's just so great. I just love the something about his art I really like. Here's more of his art. How much time do I have? I don't know. I'm probably down to just a few precious minutes. Yeah, usually when I say I have just a few precious minutes, it'll cut off right in the middle of the sentence. It's like that I'm talking about. But anyway, just in case it cuts off, I hope you've had a great evening. I hope you get out and look for the UFOs in the night sky, because you need to worry about those and not worry about the train wrecks and fact that World War III is about to start. You don't need to worry about any of that. You don't need to worry about any of that. 49. Here's issue 50. Nothing to see here, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sorry that I produced so much content today. I hope I'm not overwhelming you. 59. And then they tried to bring Commandy back, I guess. I don't know what that is. Okay, so then we come to the Karate Kid, issue 6. Character from the Legion of Superheroes. When they made the movie Karate Kid, they had to put in the credits special permission or special thanks to DC Comics, so they realized that they owned that name, and DC, I guess, gave them permission. Okay, so we've come to Ka-Zar. This I remember buying at the PX in San Antonio. Ka-Zar #1. This is a childhood copy. So that's Ka-Zar #1. And I just saw these Ka-Zars that I need to put in here. Where are they? Oh, yes. Let's go there. $10 and $11. Okay, no, 10 and 17. Okay. This is a comic that doesn't get much, people don't care about. I don't know. I think it's great. Look at that cover. Shanna the She-Devil was kind of like his Jane, obviously based on Sheena, and he's a derivative of Tarzan. So I've got several copies of that. Then here's issue 3. Great stuff. He's a character that Marvel would always, they'd keep another crucifixion cover. It's like an embarrassment of riches. Marvel would keep bringing him back, hoping he would take off. They'd keep having him guest star in other comics. He's one of the oldest Marvel characters, going back to the pulp days. And they would keep trying to kickstart, what other characters were they? They kept trying to... They kept trying to do it with X-Men, and eventually it worked in 1975 with the new X-Men. But okay, that's 6. Okay, so that noise, that must be my wife upstairs getting ready. Got to take her for her allergy test. That's number 9. Okay, so number 10 needs to be put in here. Good, fits right in there. Here's 11. Another copy of 11. Here's 13. And another 13. Here's 14. $15. Okay, and then I need to put in a 17. I already have a 17 in the box, but now I have 2 17s in the box. And then no 18, so here's 19. I'm looking at that cover, trying to figure out who drew it. 20. Okay, see, they tried to start it up again. Ka-Zar the Savage. I have 2 copies of that. Okay, so... There's a 6. You know, no one's buying this now because no one's speculating, because no one's talking about putting him into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So that's some pretty good art there. More. You don't need to see all these. Nothing to see here. I'll pull out the good ones. That's a good cover. More. Let's see. Here she's got a cover where she's charging at you. Okay, that brings me to Kid Colt Outlaw. These were Western reprints, early 70s. A lot of reprint comics in that time period. Marvel was trying to squeeze DC, and DC was trying to squeeze Marvel off the market and see how many books they could crank out each month to try. So there's 188. I didn't buy many Western comics as a kid or Kung Fu comics. Later I started appreciating them, but that's why there's a lack of them, a dearth of them. Here's a modern Killraven series. The real Killraven stuff was in Amazing Adventures. It was based on H.G. Wells' War of the Worlds. Okay, Killraven. Oh, there's another Khazar here. Khazar 18, Khazar the Savage 18. I need to get that in there. Okay. And good, I don't already have that. So that's a new book to the collection. Okay, so we're coming to Killraven. Oh, yeah, this Kingdom Come comic. You know all about that. That's wonderful. Okay. Oh, this is reprints of the Marvel Kiss stuff. Kiss Classics. It reprints the Marvel Kiss magazines. But this time it's not printed with Kiss's actual blood. By the time this came out, that was kind of considered to be not a good thing. So that's Kiss Classics. Here's Cobra #2. And what I need to put in next is Cobra #6. So this is a comic people don't remember. Cobra #4. 2 copies of Cobra 4, yes. Cobra 5. Floating heads. And then I already have a Cobra 6, so now I've got 2 copies of that. I'm getting through a lot of books tonight. Let's see how much. Can I finish the Cobra run? It was such a long run. Here's Cobra #7, probably the last issue. Ooh, this is a beautiful comic. Kong the Untamed, #1. Isn't that a beautiful cover? Look at that logo. Pretty cool. So that was #1. How long did this series go? Kong the Untamed, #3. Is that what that says? I missed #2. In 4th grade, I didn't have unlimited money, like I said, you know. Kong the Untamed 4. You know, you had the competition on the market. You had Turok from Gold Key and the art. And this is better, but, oh, this is from the old quarter bin at Lone Star Comics. They stamped it. Oh, cool. We're getting into Kull the Conqueror. I guess that's all my collection of Kong the Untamed. Really? I don't have issues 1 and 2 of Kull? They probably had corner boxes, and they're in with the Silver Age. Yeah, I'm thinking that's what it is. Look at this beautiful cover. Why this book didn't sell, I don't know. Kull the Conqueror. This took place in Atlantis. This was a few thousand years before Conan. This was in the ancient period of, Robert E. Howard's universe. And I've got 2 copies of 3. I think I have a complete set of this comic, so that's why I was kind of shocked that I saw that I was missing 1 and 2. It just, I made this decision to cut off the collection at a certain time period and only keep this kind of the 60s stuff together, and that probably was a really dumb decision. I should have just kept everything all together. 5. Oh wait, there's some other books I've got to get in here. Oh, there's a Kingdom Come preview. I need to put that with the Kingdom Comes books. Yeah, okay, I'll put that right in front of Kingdom Come. The next book I've got to get in is Legion of Monsters Satana, which is a new book. So that'll be after Cull. Let's go ahead and put that in. Legends, Legends of Tomorrow, Legion of Monsters, Legion of Monsters, Legion of Superheroes. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Okay, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, this is isn't shit. Low battery. This is the first appearance of the black suit Spider-Man. I got 2 copies of that. I think it's the first, isn't it? Am I wrong about that? It's a preview of Secret Wars. Yeah, I heard Tylock saying, of course he's a lot younger than me, he's saying, oh, I thought that black costume was so cool and sleek, and I wouldn't have cared if they just kept that and forgot about the old school Spider-Man costume. I was the opposite. I was like, shit, what are they doing? I want things to stay the same, man. I mean, I guess it's an okay costume for a new character, but don't change established characters' costumes. I don't like that. You know, it's just never a good idea. It's like in Star Trek, the motion picture, they give the crew of the Enterprise new uniforms that look like pajamas. Like, what was the point of that? They didn't look cool. To me, they didn't. Yeah. So there. I mean, no, it's not so there. What is it? So yeah. So yeah. I'm trying to be cool, like, and say so yeah a lot. Okay, I'm moving some of these Marvel Ages out of the back of the box. You know, Micronauts. What a great comic that was. I'm moving them out so I can fit more stuff in this box. What I'm doing. Okay, we're at Cull, the Conqueror. This episode's going longer. I don't know why. Number 6. Number 7. Number 8. Now this, it's Marie and John Severin together, brother and sister, 2 artists that I love, working together on the art in here. Why is this not something all these slabbing idiots talk about? Why is this not a super popular comic? Why is this not as collected as anything? Well, this is a comic that people forget about. And I don't know. Wonderful. Here's 9. There was a movie made of this with Kevin Sorbo, as I recall, playing Cull, and it had heavy metal music in it, and it was really lame. By This Axe I Rule. The original artwork was altered. Isn't that a beautiful cover? The original artwork was altered. It's Mike Plug, making his arm a little wonky because they wanted his axe to be further down so it wouldn't, obscure the title, Cull the Destroyer. Yeah, he was Cull the Conqueror, and then they changed it to Cull the Destroyer, didn't they? Anyway, just look at this. I mean, clearly he just hit that guy in the face with an axe. It's just wonderful. Oh my God. And Mike Plug does the art inside. And look at the beautiful red blood there, which you don't often see in code-approved comics. Usually in these Conan comics and in the Jonah Hex comics that were violent, they would color the blood black. But somehow Cull got it through. But see, I'm missing Cull number 12. So that's something I have to rectify. And so that was 13, and then I'm missing 14. Here's 15. And there's another copy of 15. Here's 16. And I'm missing 17. And then here's 18. See, I definitely need to replace that bag. 19. Oh, I always love this cover. Look at that.